Welcome to Fantasia, home of Melodious. My name's Azallea, and today, gonna be bringing you guys another post-duel commentary. Now this time, I'm gonna be playing with my Windwitch deck. So starting off here, my hand wasn't really the greatest, and I did manage to open up with the Desires, so I just thought, you know what, why not? Let's see if we can draw into the Ice Spell. But as you can see, immediately right off the bat, pot of -13 banishes all 3 copies of my Ice Spell in the deck. So, you know how I said this was going to be a Windwitch duel commentary? Well, turns out it's not really going to be a Windwitch duel commentary because I banished all of my major engine pieces. So, yeah, there goes the Ice Spells. But anyway, I managed to get, you know, a few trap cards, and of course in my hand I have Monster Reborn, Ghost Ogre, and I have Spellbook of Knowledge. So my opponent doesn't really do anything on his turn, which I'm like, you know what, I'm okay with this, right? He loses a turn, I lose all 3 Ice Spells, fair trade, right? So I managed to flip over the Scapegoat during his end phase, and here's where the Mrs. Radiants come in. So Mrs. Radiant, it's kind of like anti-wind because it decreases the attack defense of like wind monsters and all that good stuff. But the thing is, like, come on, like, I don't have my Ice Spells anymore. I need some beat sticks on the field. I need to get some damage in. So I'm gonna go ahead and just summon double Mrs. Radiant. They boost each other by 500 attack points each, so they each get boosted by 1,000 attack points. Pretty good. So they're both sitting at 2,400 attack, and that's fairly respectable, right? And if they do leave the field, you know, get destroyed, sent to the graveyard, all that good stuff, then they can just add themselves from the graveyard back to the extra deck, and I can summon them again if I happen to draw into another Scapegoat. So here I'm just comfortably sitting on all this back row, chilling on 2 Mrs. Radiant. I'm like, you know what, if he really doesn't do anything, it's gonna be a boring duel. I'm just gonna poke him to death with 2 Mrs. Radiants. I mean, that's fine with me, right? A win's a win, but I just really want to see if I can play this deck out without access to any Ice Spells. It actually be really interesting. So right here, you know, just chilling, holding on to the Ghost Ogre. I do have at least, you know, some form of hand trap disruption, and I believe I did have like a Storm Mirror Force and a Solemn Strike or something like that. Yeah, Solemn Strike, there we go. And I think the other card is a Scapegoat, but anyway, he goes ahead, summons Jester Comfit, and then summons Link Karibo. So the first thing that went into my head was, oh, is he playing my Lyrical Lucinia deck? That's kind of cool. But no, then he activates Lair of Darkness and then summons Lilith, so I'm like, ah, dang. Now, this doesn't really make sense to me, or at least this didn't make sense to me at the time, where he had Jester Comfits and Link Karibos. I'm like, this doesn't really make sense. I've never really seen anyone play this. You know, people try to play like more back row oriented versions of the deck, so I'm like, whatever. Then he activates Recurring Nightmare, adds back the Jester Comfit and a Lilith from the graveyard back to the hand after, of course, I strike to negate the Lilith's effect. He didn't set anything on his first turn, so, you know, I'm just thinking here, okay, he doesn't have any trap cards. He wants to get access to them, that's why he's playing Lilith. So managed to stop the Lilith, and then during the end phase, Lair of Darkness is a mandatory effect, so just Ghost Ogre that. The field spell for Lair of Darkness, like the deck in general, it's so good, and you can't have it on the field, right? It's just way too potent. It also, you know, doesn't allow my Mrs. Radiance effect to apply, because then it changes all monsters on the field to Dark attribute. So I go ahead, top deck into the Windwitch Glass Spell. I'm like, okay, well, I can't search Ice Spell, so I'm gonna grab a Snowbell, I guess. Summon it anyway, even though his attack is decreased by Mrs. Radiant, just because I need to lure out the Link Karibo anyway. So just attack with the Glass Spell, lure out the effect. Then I realized, oh, that's right, Link Karibo tributes, and that's why he's playing it. And that's actually really smart. The Jester Comfit Link Karibo little engine, I guess you could say, he's playing in the deck. So this, when he tributes the Link Karibo, it actually activates the Diablos in his hand. So I'm like, okay, definitely gotta strike that Diablos. If he puts that onto the field, I really, like, I'm gonna be in a really bad position, essentially. I have no outs to this giant beat stick, unless like drawn to Raigeki or something like that, so I cannot let him summon a big monster to the side of the field, especially Diablos, because can't target it or anything like that either, right? Can't tribute it. So here's the thing, I had the Monster Reborn, and I was thinking, if I could get that Diablos to my side of the field, that'd be absolutely amazing. But, of course, I used my Glass Spell Search effect earlier that turn, so I'm limited to only summoning wind monsters, which really sucked, because then I couldn't, you know, steal his Diablos as a huge beat stick. So yeah, anyway, I end up using the Spellbook of Knowledge, tributing sending the Glass Spell from the field to the graveyard, and then going and draw 2 cards, you know. Perfectly fine, drawn to another Snowbell, which really sucks. You know, no Synchros at this point with Ice Spell all gone. And then drawn to a Spellbook Magician Prophecy, which is actually not that bad. Then my opponent goes ahead, summons the Jester Comfit, and then activates Link Karibo. And I'm like, really? He's just gonna tribute, and now he gets his Darkest Diablos onto the field. And I'm like, oh, this is is not good. He, you know, summons Lilith. Lilith tributes my Mrs. Radiant. This is not looking good for me at all. And then, of course, the field spell, the Lair of Darkness field spell, allows him to tribute my monsters instead of tributing his own. So yeah, he goes ahead, uses the Lilith effect, reveals 2 Threatening Roars and a Full Force Virus, so that was kind of weird. I don't really see people playing a Threatening Roar in any deck anymore, unless it's like a burn stall deck or whatever. So I was really expecting at this point like a bunch of virus cards and things like that to try and destroy my hand. I mean, if he did get, I guess Full Force Virus does work here. It would actually, if he got it, he would be able to like just decimate my hand. But he attacks into me, and that Storm Mirror Force from earlier in the duel is, you know, people don't expect it anymore, which is why I really love the card. If it's more common, like the meta and stuff, people start to expect it, they'll be scared to attack, or they'll try to clear out your back row before going to the battle phase, but you know, people aren't really playing that many traps now, or if at all, so he just walked right into that. That's perfectly fine. He has no tributes left for his viruses, if he does have any. I actually don't know if Full Force can tribute these tokens. But anyway, you know, I'm playing this out. He doesn't seem to use his virus card, so I'm like, okay, probably going to be a Threatening Roar in the back row at this point. Normal summon the Spellbook, Magician of Prophecy. Yeah, there we go. There's the Full Force Virus. Let's see. Yeah, it destroys all monsters with 1500 or less defense. So he would have been able to decimate my hand if he got the virus. But you know, I don't know the ratios of the cards he's playing in his deck and whatnot. But yeah, anyway. Spellbook Magician of Prophecy grabs his Spellbook Secret, which helps me grab the knowledge. I'm just gonna, you know, continuously get some more draws, hopefully be able to get something out onto the field, because at this point, you know, you haven't seen any synchros. Really, the only things I've played are 2 Mrs. Radiance and a Glass Spell, and then like Spellbook Magician of Prophecy this turn. So, you know, I still have the Monster Reborn. That's awesome, except the fact that his Diablos isn't in the graveyard anymore because I returned it back to his hand with the Storm Mirror Force, and I really don't have anything worth reviving at this point. I mean, I guess I could go for the Mrs. Radiant and try to just attack over some things. I have Soul Charge in my hand as well. I think at this point, I'm looking at my graveyard to see how many monsters I have, to see if I can go for any sort of play, just to bring me back in this duel, because I know he can still summon Lilith next turn, and all this good stuff. He still has his Lair of Darkness on the field, which really sucks. I do have the Veiler, though, in my hand, which is actually not that bad. So what I end up doing, I go for the Soul Charge, and I bring back a lot of monsters. Pretty much like everything in my graveyard. I bring back the Spellbook Magician, Mrs. Radiant, Glass Bell, Ghost Ogre. I actually don't remember if I bring back 1 or 2 Mrs. Radiants. No, I can't bring back everything. I bring back 4 monsters, so only 1 Mrs. Radiant and then 3 of the other 3 monsters that weren't links, right? So I would go for the Glass Bell, I go for the Spellbook Magician of Prophecy right here. Bring back Ghost Ogre as well. Ghost Ogre is very important, because keep in mind what I said about the field spell earlier. It's mandatory. Mandatory means he has to activate it at the end phase, and when he does, then I can just Ghost Ogre it, get rid of it so he can't tribute my stuff. And that's going to be very important for what I'm going to make next, because there's Borreload. Borreload is like exactly what I need. I need a beat stick, I need something to keep me safe, and there we go. He touches the field, and that's absolutely amazing. Now, of course, my opponent can tribute this Borreload, unless I get rid of his field spell, so that's why I brought the Ghost Ogre back as well. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty safe. Then I don't go for the Monster Reborn here at this point. I'm just waiting to see what happens. If something happens to my Borreload next turn, then, you know, I could potentially just Monster Reborn that back. I lost my battle phase anyway, so it wouldn't matter if I brought back more things. So yeah, here we go. Field spell activates, Ghost Ogre goes ahead, destroys it, gets it away. I don't want any of that stuff in here, and I know he has like Lilith and Diablos in his hand, so that's at least 2 monsters and 2 unknown cards and then 1 card that he just drew for turn, and that's completely fine with me. I'm at 1000 life points, pretty low. I'm really just banking on this Borreload Dragon staying on the field for me, as it's the only thing that's preventing me from losing at this point. He goes for Lilith. Lilith goes ahead, activates its effect, and tributes off a token. And I believe here I dropped the Veiler because I don't want him to, you know, grab a virus or something that could potentially destroy Borreload. Borreload can't be targeted by monster effects, but has no protection against spell and trap cards. So yeah, drop the effect Veiler here. That's like the most reasonable thing to do. And then he goes, you know, Diablos can activate because he did tribute a token as a cost for Lilith. And he summons his Diablos to his side of the field, and that's all good. I mean, Diablos here, you know, okay, yeah, Diablos here activates his effect. He can shuffle 1 of the cards in my hand back into my deck, and I'm like, you know what, fine, take it. take my Snowbelt. I don't even need her. She goes to the bottom of my deck, of course. I don't want to top deck into that. He activates another Recurring Nightmare, adds back the Lilith and the Jester Confit, and all that good stuff. Summons Jester Confit. And then I believe at this point, he didn't really have too many options left. He still had the Link Karibo, I believe that's in his extra deck. It looks like his extra deck still has 15 cards. But at this point, even if he tried to attack with his token, before my Borlo dies with his Diablos crashing into it, I can use Borlo's effect, target the token, make it 500 less attack, so I would still live with 500 life points left. And even if he summoned the Link Karibo, I think it'd be like an extra 300 damage, so I would still be able to live, and I'd have like 200 life points. But we see here that he quit, and that's the reason why I was going into all this theory and stuff. But yeah, so even if my Borlo Dragon left the field, still would have been completely fine. I had the Monster Reborn that could bring it back, and then I could just try to attack into some things, and all that good stuff. So yeah, I think I played this out to the best of my ability, given what I had, you know, only really could rely on like the support cards in the deck, didn't have ice spells, no crystal wings at all. But as you can see, even in these tight situations, you can still make some magic happen at times if you just play your cards correctly. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, please leave a like, subscribe for more Windwitch content, and leave a comment down below letting me know what I can do to improve. And until next time, take care.